views and opinions expressed by callers, guests, and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of the Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to Blacks in Business Radio. Again, I am one of your hosts, Sisi Harry, and I'm joined by my co-host, Brother Robert 11X. Robert, are you there?
Yes, I am, Sisi Harry.
I am great. So, today we are going to introduce two hosts of a radio program that is starting called Urban Real Estate Radio. I'm so excited to speak with Sherry Taylor and Dorian Carter. I met them both at the Dudley event in North Carolina, almost 2 years ago now. But it's always such a positive interaction again when we meet. So I'm excited to talk about what it is that they're doing that can build our community, especially in real estate, because we know real estate is the staple of creating a thriving community. So let's go ahead and look over their bios. Let's see. Sherry Taylor has a passion for creating positive change in underserved communities that has lasted well over a decade. Prior to real estate, Sherry worked as an urban planner and community development professional. Ms. Taylor's love of the built environment and communities led her from planning to participating in development. She currently serves as a development manager for Pointe Partners, a real estate investment advisory and development firm. Ms. Taylor incorporates both commercial real estate and urban planning knowledge to bring more effective solutions to development. She believes that each community has potential and real estate investments can be financially profitable, environmentally sustainable, and socially impactful. Ms. Taylor holds a MS in International Real Estate Development from Florida International University. She also holds an MA in City Planning from the University of Pennsylvania. She completed her undergraduate studies at Rutgers University with a BA in Urban Studies. Sherry serves on board of the Greater Durham Black Chamber of Commerce and enjoys spending time with family in her spare time. That is excellent. And so next up we have Mr. Dorian Carter, president of Pointe Partners, LLC, a real estate investment advisory and development firm located in Charlotte, North Carolina. Mr. Carter brings years of operation, management, and executive-level experience in commercial real estate. He started his second career in 2005 after many years in information technology and since has made a big impact on various communities. His passion for small business and entrepreneurship has led to several cost-saving initiatives resulting in multi-million-dollar savings, greater efficiencies, and improved productivity. His goals to affect change in underserved neighborhoods and wealth building drives him to focus on redevelopment initiatives that bring strong performing businesses to communities. Mr. Carter is a veteran of the United States Air Force. His background in operations, corporate management, and real estate investing allows him to provide valuable services to his clients. Without any further ado, we definitely want to welcome our guests on, Dorian and Sherry. Welcome to Blacks in Business Radio.
Thank you.
Okay. yes, so welcome to radio, and this type of thing happens all the time, but it's all righty. First of all, we appreciate both of you coming on. Your real estate knowledge is definitely welcome here, because we know that real estate is one of the ways, and one of the key ways, that our communities can build wealth. Which one of you would like to speak first?
I guess I'll start off. Well, absolutely. And you heard Sherry's background and my background. I got into commercial real estate full-time in 2005. And what I noticed previous years, I really started out rehabbing homes in Atlanta, Georgia. And what I noticed is in some of the underserved communities, we didn't have some of the same retail and services around commercial in that we needed to. So that sparked my interest, and I ended up changing my degree from strictly economics over to commercial real estate and business school. And so it is a passion of ours to see change in communities, positive change. As we know, it doesn't happen overnight. So as president of Pointe Partners, an investment and development firm, we focus on communities and opportunities where we could effect change. We focus around retail sectors as well. And so even more so that we've been doing it in North Carolina, we wanted to see change happen nationally and have a platform to really take that to the next level. And so thus we decided and had an opportunity to create a radio show, the Urban Real Estate Radio Show, that will broadcast on over the internet as well as satellite. And we wanted to bring our mission and our ability to affect change to a national audience. We understand that we can't actually make change in all communities, but if we help spread the word and educate, then more people can do what we've done in our respective cities that we've been living in.
Wow. What are you going to say about that, Robert?
Well, I definitely want to broadcast you all's show, post you all's show once that, you let us know when that gets started, and we want to share that show on our BIB reach, because we're all over the place on the internet with Blacks in Business. So I'm a very strong supporter of owning real estate myself. I support the ideal of us getting in the commercial sector, which is definitely at this time in America is the best time to actually be in commercial real estate. That's all I've ever bought was commercial. I've owned one piece of residential, but maybe a good 8 pieces of commercial property over the past since 1999. And for anybody that has an ideal of becoming an entrepreneur, commercial real estate is definitely, you get the most bang for your dollar. So I will definitely be a listener to your show myself personally. I'm sure Sisi will too, and we would definitely support you guys.
Okay, Sherry, you're up next. Uh-oh, let's see. Hopefully she's not muted or something like that. Let's see. Oh, she's open.
Well, I'll
thank you so much for having us on the show, and thank you for that support that you will be giving us and in spreading the word. We really do appreciate that. Sisi read my bio, and I love real estate because I love people. People are the heartbeat of places. And so if you can improve a place, if you can make it vibrant and revitalize it, then you can definitely have effect on the people there, right? I'm an urban planner first and a real estate professional second. So the community is always something that I have in mind when we do these projects. I believe real estate is a great way for people to build wealth, but also reinvest in their community. And you're right, ownership is the key to this. So after I was a planner for a few years, I realized that residents and other stakeholders would always ask me, why don't they do something? Why doesn't the city do this? Or why doesn't the state do this? Or why doesn't somebody do something about this? And what I realized is that the they are talking about is us. We can be empowered to affect change in our own communities. Now, yes, there are some responsibilities of government, but before government took it on, we were doing it for ourselves, and we can do it in that way again. So I realized that I need to be on the other side of the table, you know, bringing these projects, getting into real estate, building my knowledge so that I can help communities.
That sounds so empowering, especially because, you know, I told you all we had just gotten off of an interview, and we are having an alderman or alderperson race here in the city of Baden in St. Louis, Missouri, because the sitting alderperson has decided to do something else. So it's not ironic. I think it's a miracle that we are now talking to you, because as we were talking to one of the candidates, we were speaking to her about revitalization of this community. And so my thought immediately is, wow, your business, your company could definitely connect with aldermen, alder people, governors in different cities, in different states all over. If you have a blueprint of a plan that could help communities that were once thriving, I think that your business will take off, because we know that in government there is money to be had and money to be gained. And like you said, you know, the heartbeat is home. You know, the people here, these thriving or less than thriving homes and businesses deserve that lifeblood, you know, that these real estate connections can bring. So as we sit and we listen to the previous interview, I just really think that connection is so vital that you can bring to, you know, even lower level government.
Yes, I definitely totally agree. I participate currently in our local government system on the volunteer end, and the problems are the same no matter what city you go to. The problems are consistent. There's access to capital, all of those things that contribute to holding back the movement, so to speak, of change in communities. And what we found also is there is a significant amount of work that can be done, but people really have great ideas. The pieces are already in place, and we have to increase communication and solutions. There's wealth in our community. There's folks willing to invest, and we have to bring those pieces together to affect real change. It's actually really not that hard. The ideas are out there. We just have to bring it together and take action on it. And the problem that we've seen there in commercial real estate, there's not as much representation as there need to be on the minority side that can help move some of these great ideas and projects forward. We just need the folks that's already out there working in commercial real estate that has an interest in our community to come together and make some of these projects happen.
You know, in listening to you and my own personal experience and knowing some people here in St. Louis that in our area buying up commercial buildings, you know, the power is in the knowledge of knowing how to do what for so many years these big giant institutions have been doing. The banking institution, the financial institution, they have a knowledge that most of us as black men and women, 98% of the black men and women that I've discussed creating mortgages with, real estate agents, and all those different titles, have absolutely no knowledge of how to create the situation to actually make our people winners. And I was blessed to come into this knowledge. And a lot of the problem is, if you're trying to empower us, well, we going up against a wild hyena, if you would say, in terms of the financial institution. We're overtaxed. We have higher interest rates. We are underpaid. So going into these institutions and coming out with a deal that is fair, we don't even have the knowledge of what that even looked like. Most of us get excited if we do qualify, and we don't understand the numbers in the deal. So moving forward, how would you approach dealing with a people that have all these things against them in terms of empowering our people in the traditional sense of financing? I know I couldn't go in the bank and qualify to get a loan. You know, that's not going to happen. I've owned more property by not qualifying, by knowing how to do something outside of that. So is there anything in you all's program that's an exception to the rule of how you normally or traditionally would get financing?
Yes, excellent. Go ahead, Sherry. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, thank you for that. And what is so exciting about this show is that we're going to cover all facets and we're going to go deep. So this show is about accessibility to the information that you're talking about, and the options and the different ways to put things together. Like you say, you don't always need to get financing from a bank, but we're going to expose people to those options. And that's the first thing I think that's key is the information. So when people tune into our show, they're going to get some information that they can use to be able to implement their plans.
And if I may add to that as well, we have to look for non-traditional means of making projects happen. There is no reason why that the well-off business owners, successful African Americans, minorities across the country can't finance deals without a banking system. I think there's huge opportunity, as you said earlier, about how you figured out how to make a deal happen without a bank and qualifying. Well, traditionally, that's the way a lot of deals happen without bank qualifications. It's only the more notable projects that are more mainstream developments that tend to have traditional financing. And so we have to find ways to partner with individuals that have a stake of making a community better with folks that have the means and creating those alternative type financing vehicles. There are many ways to make that happen, and we're going to go into some of those many of those on the show. And so that's why we're so passionate about, the show and bringing this knowledge on a wide-reaching effort across the U.S.
Right. Well, I know for sure I will definitely zero into the show, and share with your audience. It's a call-in type of show, an audience participation type of show.
It will absolutely have the opportunity for folks to call in. Some live, some pre-recorded shows.
Well, we definitely want to actually get your show podcasted so it can also stream on Black Talk Radio Network for a very low fee. We'll send you that information after we speak. I think that you'll find it very doable in comparison to some other networks, even other Black radio networks. Black Talk Radio Network is the largest Black internet radio network. So we would love to stream your program through this network so that people can receive the knowledge and information doubly, triply, a zillion times over by being shared and podcasted through social media. So we have to look forward to making that happen. Now, you all sound like you have a very positive program. So let's say we'll use our city as an example. This city, I don't really know the whole history of it, but it looks as if it's remained an industrial town. So there is money here. And the last guest that we had on, Ms. Jasmine Turnage, she spoke of a tax program or a taxing program called SIDS. Have you ever heard of SIDS, where whenever you patronize a business, a part of that tax is used to go back into the community? Have you heard of that before?
Yes, they call that different in different cities, and some of them call them tax allocation districts, where the businesses in one community agree to tax themselves in order to pay into a fund that leads to economic development and investment in their community. So it's called different things in different cities, but that's similarly the same across the country. But it's one that has to be voted in by a majority of the citizens in that particular community.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Thank you for that explanation. So with this city, this town being very large industrial town, I think it would thrive from that, because we have companies over here like Procter & Gamble, yet the city is poor. When I say poor, lots of boarded up buildings, and just you look around and you see, the typical Arab stores, businesses that are, just not thriving like they should be. So if we were able to attach that in this community, how do you think that it could immediately thrust the community into revitalization?
Well, I think that every community has potential. And as cities and towns grow over time, whether they be industrial base or they have some other type of base, lots of times they go through a cycle. They go through a change, and they have to change themselves, right? So maybe the industry leaves, or it's not as strong as it was before, and so that city or town has to reinvent itself. It has to find those aspects that it can promote so that it can be vital again. And every city does this, whether it's older and large or whether it's growing. These are the same problems. There's a constant reinventing in cities. They never stay the same over time. But to answer your question, I feel like a good possible way to use those funds would be to first do an assessment. What are your strengths in that city, and what are your weaknesses? And then build off of those strengths. If you have a lot of, for example, industrial buildings, old warehouses, that are no longer being used for industry, what can they be used for? Can they be used for lofts or very cool office space or something that helps reinvent and reuse what you already have? I think that's the kind of the starting point, having some type of assessment so you know what you have, what your strengths are, and then, implement the next steps. Every community has to do that before they can get started on any type of project, either large or small. They need to know what they have to work with first.
Totally makes sense. So when you speak of an assessment, how is that done? Who does it, and how long does it take?
Well,
that depends, but I'll let Dorian answer.
Yeah, those types of things are normally funded by the municipalities or nonprofits. There are tons of grants. I won't say tons of grants, but there are grants out there where those assessments and research are done. And at On Pointe Partners, we're a consulting firm as well, so we do a lot of market studies, financial feasibility studies. So those are some of the type of work that we do, and it's usually funded by nonprofits or local municipalities to really do I guess we could call it sort of a business plan on the city itself or the town. And make no mistake, none of this happens overnight when it comes to implementation, but over time you do see change. And so, but that's how those are funded, usually locally or by a nonprofit through grants.
Okay, so how often, okay, let's just say, because again, I'm using this town as kind of a guinea pig model. Let's say the town had an assessment a year ago or an evaluation a year ago. Is that assessment still proper for today's moving forward, or should another one be done?
Yes.
Well, most communities have, they do, they have some type of planning department, city planning department, or economic development department, and what they'll do is they'll go out and they'll do a long-range plan around these things. So they'll have something that they can use for 5 to 10, even 15 years. So they kind of have, they can mark where they've been and also use it to move forward and know what they're going towards. That's on the governmental end. But, individuals and groups, like Dorian was saying, can start doing things themselves, or only look at, Main Street, or look at one neighborhood. There's a range of options when you're doing this type of planning and assessment. Okay.
Well, we definitely are interested in getting started and learning, at ground level, like what we should be doing to make that happen in this community, because we just, again, had the alder person that is running on the show about an hour ago, and we were speaking to her about things that need to be done. One of the things that I brought up was the retail community here, which is owned and run by Arabic people. We know what that looks like, but that's something that's bringing the community down. So what I would like to do is move those systems out, completely. I don't know if that's possible, but I think it is, because I've seen some things done to keep certain things out of certain communities, mainly black people, so they couldn't get in certain communities. So I think that there needs to be something done to where if they are not adding to our community and they're taking away from our community, they need to be completely eliminated, just completely eliminated. But I just really would like to know how we could get started with this. We would be willing to be, boots on the ground for, whatever you have going on or your business to make this happen in our community.
Yeah, we'd certainly be interested in really getting on the ground there and understanding the layout of the community. What are some of the positives that can be leveraged, which, like I say, would best be done through some type of assessment of the community. And sometimes once you do that research, you'll find there's opportunities that you didn't see. Mm-hmm. And so we would love to talk with you further about that and how we could help move that forward.
Now, we have done several shows on Blacks in Business Radio talking about the tax lien sale here, because St. Louis is one of the greatest places to purchase through the tax lien because there's no redemption period. So with that being said, of course, these properties that are being sold for little to no money. But the thing is, when you get the property, you, of course, need to be able to do something with it. Not just patch it up, but in order to make it, not an eyesore, you need to be able to get that money to make it happen. So I would really love to collaborate with people. Now, I mean, people say they want to collaborate, but if you could go to the tax sale and purchase, at least, I would say 10 of these buildings, each tax sale as a group, that is a great start.
Yeah, I agree that that's a great start. And I also challenge folks, though, to see what they can do to purchase land before or even when they're in a tax lien sale. Because some people may not know, and we'll mention this on the show, we'll probably have a show on it, that you can actually go to the owner of the property and work out a deal. Mm-hmm. And you can't sell a property, well, I can't say you can't sell it, but you can put a property under contract with the owner and then go contest the tax lien sale. And 9 times out of 10, the judge will say, okay, this can't be sold on the courthouse steps. You do the transaction and you have the property. And so it doesn't always have to go through a tax lien sale. So I challenge folks to think outside of the box. Right. What can you do to get that property and keep it from even going to a tax lien?
Right, most definitely. That outside of the box thinking is what is needed, because what has been traditional, it does work in some aspects, but for the most part, in order for us to propel forward immediately, we have got to really have some great thinkers and great minds that are willing to do things conventionally and unconventionally. I mean, but at this point, we really have to have an unconventional mind to make these things happen. And like you said, you know what? What if you can save it before even going to the tax sale? I mean, it's a win-win situation for you and the person that is owning the property right now. Why not do that? And, of course, be able to create some sort of income for your business or corporation through that. I mean, it only makes sense.
Absolutely.
So if I think Sherry may have dropped off. Let me see. Yeah, I think she did drop off. Maybe she had something to do. So what we need to do is make sure that everybody has the proper information to tune into the debut of your show. And again, we will get you that information for Black Talk Radio Network so that you can perhaps podcast. Oh, there she is. She's back again. Okay. So you can perhaps, have your program streamed through us. But I definitely welcome any last thoughts that you all have.
Well, I want to thank you all for having us on the show today. You're doing a great work, in the community. Absolutely glad you invited us on and allowed us to explain our mission and how we planning on effecting change. So we definitely appreciate you for opening your show up and allowing us to come on. And I'll allow Sherry to close us out and give our contact information.
Okay.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. Right now, you can, if you want to connect with the show, we're on Facebook, Urban Real Estate Radio. If you just type it in, you'll find us. If you want to connect with On Pointe Partners, you can go to www.onpointpartners.com, and that's where you can contact myself or Dorian, and we just are so appreciative of this opportunity. Thank you.
Absolutely. And again, we look so forward to the collaboration to revitalize our communities and make them whole again as they once were. Robert, do you have any last comments?
Yes, I want to thank you all for coming on the show, and big ups to you all for creating a format where people can actually call into and listen and get educated on what I feel is the best wealth builder that's out there is real estate. So you guys, thanks again.
Thank you guys for coming on, and we look forward again to working with you very soon. Feel free to reach out to us at any time if you need to promote what it is that you're doing. There is no competition here, only collaboration, and we only get better through coming together. So we thank you for joining us on Blacks in Business Radio, and we will talk to you both really soon, okay?
Okay. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. I would like to invite you to join Every.Black, the premier digital marketplace and directory for Black businesses and entrepreneurs. Membership benefits include representation on 12 websites, 12 Facebook pages, and 12 Twitter accounts. Your company will also be featured in the monthly e-letter. Sign up today by typing in Every.Black. Use the discount promotional code SISI. For more information, call 253-343-7284. When it comes to promoting your business, remember Every.Black.
Welcome everybody to the last half hour of Blacks in Business Radio. Today is Thursday, the 2nd of November, 2017. Now, in this last half hour, we have a candidate in St. Louis, District Number 2, for Alderman. Her name is Ms. Jasmine Turnage. She has agreed to join us in this last half hour to tell us about herself. And, of course, you can reach out to her if you have any questions via email. But we're going to go ahead and read her bio. And hopefully some of your questions will be answered here. So let me get to that right now. So, St. Louis native Jasmine Turnage is a lifelong resident of North Pointe neighborhood in the 2nd Ward. Jasmine attended Baden Elementary, Clayton High School, and earned her bachelor's degree in business administration from Lindenwood University. A strong believer in faith, family, and community, Jasmine is a loving daughter, supportive sister, and proud mother of 3 that is passionate and committed to the services in her community. Jasmine is an experienced businesswoman and well-known activist in the community. Over the past 10 years, Jasmine has served several boards, including the Ward Democratic Organization and the Ferguson Heights Church of Christ Community Liaison Committee. She also has experience as an Urban League Area F Block Captain, Vice President of the Gateway Young Democrats, and member of the Neighborhood Ownership Model. Jasmine is currently an employee of the City of St. Louis in the Office of the Collector of Revenue and has been for the past 8 years. During her tenure there, she has functioned in a number of roles, including an earning tax supervisor for the Collector Revenue where she led the department responsible for collecting an estimated $165 million annually, which is 36% of the city's general fund. She is currently tax auditor and works directly with the public. In these positions, Jasmine has been recognized for her ability to effectively complete critical tasks under pressure and facilitate growth and development, and I think this was a growth and development of her employees, and strengthen the department as a whole. Jasmine believes that the second ward should be a safe place for working families and professionals that should include a thriving business district. For years, neighbors have encouraged her to run for a political office. In 2015, she did just that, resulting in her being 5 votes shy of victory. Jasmine has been and will continue to be committed to remaking the second ward a flourishing community. In her added commitment to community, Jasmine has volunteered as a youth tutor, a mentor, and spends a lot of her time talking with and assisting seniors. Jasmine believes that the youth are our leaders of tomorrow, and the seniors are the key to unlocking wisdom and knowledge. Both are an essential part of cultivating a robust community. Like many, Jasmine shares a common experience of working while facing in tough economic times. This has allowed her to be better understood the challenges of the constituents living in the second ward. Jasmine is the voice we need to bring the change we deserve in the second ward. Okay, without further ado, after reading that bio, definitely want to bring on Ms. Jasmine. Excuse me. Yes, I can. Welcome to the show. My name is Sisi Harry, and we have Brother Robert 11X, and we live in the district that you are running for right now.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
How you doing, Miss Jasmine?
I am well. How are you?
Doing great. Excited to have you on the show this morning.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I didn't give you that bit of information when we talked, but I thought I'd spring that on you.
I know, yeah. But now I'm even more intrigued. How long have you all been residents in the ward?
This is going on our second year. As a matter of fact, we celebrated an anniversary just yesterday of all things great coming together, one being Blacks in Business, which Blacks in Business started in a car, but pretty much the springboard was in this area when Brother Robert obtained property over here on North Broadway.
Okay. Nice, very good.
See, we're not only just residents in the area, we are professionals, business entrepreneurs also, that who really have a great position and responsibility to the community, sense of responsibility to the community as well. We want to see Baden thriving and up and going. I've done several FaceTime, live Facebook video chats or whatever on what Baden could actually be, and I think it's a lot of opportunity here in Baden if the right person allow, people of color, Black people, to get in here and actually be able to do something for themselves. And that's one of the things that, for me personally, that I'm very much committed to myself. As Sisi was talking about Blacks in Business,
All right, excuse us. We just had a technical issue with that file. Let me pull it back up and get us back. It's a pre-recorded program, but we will be going live during the next hour, second half of the next hour. So my apologies. Let me get us back to where we were on that clip.
work on that.
All my here.
Okay, people have dropped off. Stream
Every dot black for.
number 2. Say as T and
Doing great. Excited to have you on the show this morning.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
yes, I didn't give you that bit of information when we talked, but I thought I'd spring it on you.
I know,
Yeah.
but now I'm even more intrigued. How long have you all been residents in the ward?
This is going on our second year. As a matter of fact, we celebrated an anniversary just yesterday of all things great coming together, one being Blacks in Business, which Blacks in Business started in a car, but pretty much the springboard was in this area when Brother Robert obtained property over here on North Broadway.
Okay, nice, very good.
We're not only just residents in the area, we are professionals, business entrepreneurs also that who really have a great position and responsibility to the community, sense of responsibility to the community as well. We want to see Baden thriving and up and going. I've done several FaceTime, live Facebook video chats or whatever on what Baden could actually be, and I think it's a lot of opportunity here in Baden if the right person allow, people of color, Black people, to get in here and actually be able to do something for themselves. And that's one of the things that, for me personally, that I'm very much committed to myself. As Sisi was talking about Blacks in Business, Blacks in Business is committed to helping Black men and women, and then after that, anyone who wants to be educated about how to stay in business, how to go in business, how to acquire real estate, things done non-conventionally. That's what Blacks in Business is all about. We definitely want to see the community come up, and we definitely want people that who are in those positions to have that as the main interest when coming in and filling those type of seats that you're about to that you're in the battlefield for.
Well, you actually very much have a proponent in that endeavor in me. I am 39 years old, and I have lived in this area my entire life. And what you're talking about, Baden being, is absolutely doable. In my lifetime, it was very much so that. The Baden, particularly that Broadway district between Schweitzer and Halls Ferry, was very much the hub of the neighborhood for years and years, particularly for me as a child. So, when my dad would take us to get ice cream, we went down to Velvet Freeze, or if we got a flat on our bike, we went down to the bike shop. And so to kind of see it where it is very disheartening, especially knowing that it doesn't have to be that way. So I am thrilled to find anybody who is interested in redevelopment and bringing back what it should be. Absolutely.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Now, I am actually a transplant, but I'm originally from Alaska, moved to Seattle, but born in St. Louis. So
okay. Well, welcome back.
Thank you. It's all kind of new to me. One, I'm not familiar or experienced with aldermen, and that's because, to my knowledge, we haven't had aldermen in the area that I lived in. So it's wonderful to know that there's a great liaison between the people and what is to happen. especially with a person with the caliber such as yourself who has lived here for such a long time, that has seen the community thriving, but then also seen the decline. So you know that it is quite possible to revitalize something that once was. Now, as a person from the outside looking in, I mean, I see great hope, you know, but I just look around, and one of the problems that I see, and I say this all the time, if I was the alderman, the mayor, even the governor, I would have a great effect on the community by shutting down these stores that are selling substances, liquor, paraphernalia to our community. I think that it is such a problem that people can so readily purchase the alcohol and the swishers and all these things that are just really, really causing a problem. Of course, people are going to do what they want to do. We understand that. But I think as we remove those things from the community, then we could replace them. Because when you remove something, you have to replace it. But we have to replace them with things that are going to be healthy. And it's not an ethnocentric view, but it's just something that I see that is taking our people down. You know, you have all these Arab stores, you know, the Arabic people, we know the Arabics and the Koreans, they come into our community and they're able to thrive off of, you know, our deficits, you know, things that are not healthy for us. And I just, if it were me, one, for every black or every Arabic or Korean store, there would have to be something, I would say, like, I don't even know if this can be done, but I would do it some kind of way. There would have to be a black business, 2 black businesses for every other people's store that don't live in this community, because I'm quite sure those people don't live over here. I mean, I would have to put stringent stipulations on who is able to operate in this community, because it really looks really bad. I mean, you know, you have young children drinking alcohol because there are others purchasing it for them, and that's because these stores are here and they're so prevalent in the community. They come in and they just take over. And I'm not mad at them for making money. It's not that at all. But it's just a problem for our people. So if people want to be able to purchase alcohol and all these other things, if it were me, I would push it further out. What do you think about that?
I think you touched on a very real problem in our community, but it's almost tunnel vision, and this is what it is. And in reality, the second ward has been neglected for so long on so many levels that people can look into one particular area and say, this is the issue, or this is the issue, or that's the issue, and name 15 different things. And all of these issues would be a component of one big issue. My priority as alderperson, well, first let me just say, you said you didn't grow up with aldermen. Every city has some form of government. So the city of St. Louis has aldermen, and essentially, as a city, the aldermen function in the same way that Congress does for the country federally. So your aldermen, there are 28 wards in the city of St. Louis, and we are in Ward 2, and we operate as the governing body. So we pass all of the ordinances, the laws for the city as a whole, and we're also in charge of the budget. So whatever the city budget is, however much we collect in taxes and so forth, is divided 28 ways. Each alderperson is responsible for dispersing the funds in their ward. So that's the general function of an alderperson. I would say a textbook function of an alderperson, but the alderperson is the leader, literally within their ward. They determine a lot of what can happen and can't happen. It's important to know that they operate within the ward, but they also operate citywide, because in order for any one alderperson to get anything done, they have to be able to pass laws, and they have to get at least a majority vote of the aldermen citywide. So you have to be able to relate to what's going on within your ward and understand the fabric of the city as a whole in order to get anything done. My priority as alderman, hands down, would be educate. People just don't like politics, and I get it. Nobody. It's such a dirty game, so to speak, and I've definitely had my share of experiences of just madness, of things that just are completely unfair, but it kind of comes with the territory. So I can accept it and deal with it and move on and still get done what needs to be done. But in reality, people need to understand that there are 28 older people in the city of St. Louis, but there are just under 300,000 people. It's nothing that these 28 people can do without the support of the city as a whole. And the second ward lacks education and understanding the real power that each individual has to ignite and move the community forward. And it's really up to the community leaders, particularly the alderperson, to set the tone for that. A lot of people keep it. I feel that a lot of people at the top, you hear this a lot, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Well, your job as an alderperson is an elected position, and so as long as you are in office, you have your job, but you have to get reelected, and as an alderman, it's every 4 years. So the more people you don't have to contend with, the easier your job is, so to speak, to get reelected. And I think a lot of people in politics operate from that principle instead of rolling up their sleeves, accepting the responsibility of the job, and getting people activated, getting them in motion, and really getting things going. So for me, building a relationship block by block with people, I understand that every single person is not going to get involved, is not going to get interested, is not going to do their part. We're not going to all hold hands and sing Kumbaya at the end of the day. I understand that. But there are a lot of people who really want to see this community thrive and do well. Like I said, I've been here all my life, and this is, for a very long time, is a very stable neighborhood. It was the place to live in St. Louis. So on any given street, you could find a minimum of 3 to 5 people who've been here 35, 40, 50 years or better. And these are people who understand what a stable area looks like. If we can pull out those people and unite them, get them organized, and then add the people such as yourself who have who've only been here 2 or 3 years, but really care about the neighborhood, we can build a system that works for us. So with all of those stores, I definitely see that as a problem. It absolutely cannot happen. Like, I have no tolerance for the breaking down of the people within our ward. It makes no sense that we would foster it, and it doesn't matter to me that you pay your taxes, that you're selling well, or that even people patronize your business. If you're participating in the breakdown of this neighborhood, you will be addressed by me. If you're going to be within our community, you need to be a productive part of the community. Otherwise, I have no problem organizing, banding together, and getting you out.
That's good. That's what I like to hear, because, again, as one coming from the outside, from Alaska and Seattle, and never have really lived in St. Louis for any part of my life, it's a small portion, it's just so disheartening to me to see not just the ghetto, but just the ghetto like on steroids, because in both places in Alaska and Seattle, there is no ghetto. There are no boarded up homes. I'm not saying our people don't suffer certain conditions such as what I'm saying now, but just the atmosphere and the environment is different. It's very different. And I think that we can, like you said, block by block, gather the people
who are interested in making that change. And with that being said, just last night, Robert and I were looking to find out how we could actually make these changes happen structurally. We looked at a 4-family flat yesterday that needs a lot of work. We live in a building that needs a lot of work. What type of support does the alderman have, or information does the alderman have for any type of grant program or revitalization toward these buildings that have been so dilapidated for so many years?
Some of that is, okay, so just thinking about development as a whole, some of that is just applying pressure, because what can be done depends on, first, who owns those properties. So if those properties are owned by people privately, then we can hold them accountable to them, bring in a building inspector and require people you build up the code, or you get it, or you give it away, you sell it to someone who will. So pressure can be applied in some areas. In a lot of instances, those homes, a lot of homes are owned by the city. So people have already abandoned them, and they're LRA properties. And so the city should be maintaining properties that haven't been, in which case it will be up to us as a board to put programs in place. I know years ago, and I'm not familiar with all of the ins and outs of it at this point. Years ago, you used to be able to buy a house for $1 as long as you were able to completely rebuild it or rehab it and bring it up to code. I've heard that a lot of the LRA process is where they want too much for the building and they have too strict of a requirement to bring it up. So it's going to be up to your alderperson to engage all of to determine what's going on with these dilapidated buildings or vacant properties, hold the people who are the owners accountable, and really be able to foster relationships to bring in development. There has been some development over the years, but generally, I know the house I live in is 85 years old. It's not a whole lot of brand new homes over there in the area. And I know that you're speaking specifically about Baden, but I just want to say that the second ward itself, and this is a challenge, does cover 7 neighborhoods. So we have Chain of Rocks, North Pointe, even a portion of College Hill. It's it's the largest ward in the city landmass. So all of these things will have to be balanced. While Baden is certainly a focus, the needs of the ward as a whole are very different block for block because it covers such a large span. I can tell you I did run in 2015, and I ran against an incumbent who had been in for 4 terms, which at that point was 16 years. And I was shy of 4 votes, actually, of a victory. But when I ran that race, I learned so much just about there is a machine and an intention to run North City as a whole down. Not just the second ward, but North City as a whole down. I believe the purpose of that intention is really gentrification. The hope is to run it down to the ground, force all of the people to say, it's no point in staying here, we'll move out. The people who get stuck there are the people who can't afford to leave, and eventually the area will run down, the property value will be very low, and then a developer will come in, buy it all up, and then redevelop it to the point where we who live here now wouldn't be able to afford to. Because St. Louis is really trying to become a metropolis of the 21st century. And in any given city, thriving city, the properties that are closest to downtown are the most expensive. If you look at the news, you will see that North St. Louis City is a horrible place to live. If you only look at the news, it will tell you you are endangered to live in North City. And so even the conditioning of the mind is that stay away, don't go there. When there are beautiful neighborhoods still, neighbors who care and care for their property and still very neighborly. And so we have to be able to come together and work against this mantra, and part of that will be that redevelopment of those properties that need to be brought up. But honestly, it's my opinion that the bulk of the reason why it's that way is just a lack of leadership. It's just a lack of staying on the ball, staying on top of these property owners, and making sure that people care for their properties. Because even across the city at large, you don't see that in the Central Corridor, and you don't see that as rampant in South City. But kind of that gentrification thing has occurred already in the city South, and I believe that's the same sort of attitude that's being brought north. So I definitely, again, educating the people of what's going on, and really mobilizing people to support the efforts of an alderperson to save our community is going to be key. And it's absolutely a task I'm more than willing to take on.
You know, sister, I'm listening to you, and I'm in total agreement with the gentrification aspect of, especially Baden, but all over, as you said, anywhere near downtown, it's definitely true. My brother had a really nice house on St. Louis Avenue, near where they're about to build the new government facility. I, for a long time, was a property owner in South St. Louis, one block from Cherokee, California and Utah. And I literally watched that area go from black people up and down Cherokee with black thriving stores, you know, a mixture, and literally change from that to what you see now is middle-aged, or not middle-aged, but young Europeans, and there are some Mexicans that's still there, but you see more young European business owners on Cherokee than what you have ever seen down there. And a lot of the brothers and sisters that been there for a while, when I talk to them, you know, we have a business out at the flea market on 367 in Chambers, and so I get a chance to see some of those brothers when, from time to time, sisters, when they come out there, and that's some of the conversation that we have. Man, they changing the South Side. It ain't the same no more. Well, when I came to Baden, I could remember the same thing that you was talking about, the thriving businesses, you know, because, you know, I also, my auntie was on Era off of North Pointe, and, you know, I was always over there, so I came through Baden a lot. And I just really was attracted to Baden. You know, I, as a young person, didn't know, for some reason, it just attracted me. So when I purchased the two buildings here, I was just blown away at how far that it had fell off. You know, there was no business on Broadway. The buildings are looking like they're about to fall down. Some buildings have been torn down. And I was able to get my hands on two nice commercial buildings, and then started work on them, and started getting some problems. I was like, why would anybody be against anybody that's trying to make the community nice? You know, because I came in hiring people to clean up. And that's something that, you know, you would think that people that's in power would recognize and applaud, aid, and assist. Well, it was just the opposite. It's totally just the opposite. And some of the business owners, I'm always out meeting the business people in the community. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 24 years. So my interest in community is entrepreneurship and home ownership. So one of the things that I'm concerned with, this may sound not so big, but it really is big, is, you know, why hasn't there been, and I know you haven't been in office, but the willingness to actually keep the area clean, grass cut, properties boarded up. There's a building I see all the time, a couple of buildings. LRA owns one. I'm sure some private people own another. But these buildings should at least be boarded up at the very least. And I got some construction experience, so I know it doesn't require much dollar-wise to find an independent contractor to go and board a building up rather than leave that building wide open, unsafe for the community, children walking past it or going in these buildings. And I literally watched this past summer grass on the corner. I think it was not Church Street, but Schweitzer. I think it was Schweitzer and Hall's Ferry. That where there's a little restaurant across the street from the church. That grass stayed about 5 feet tall for at least a month, and I was like, "What is the problem with government people in position to hire somebody that may have a lawn cutting business, independent contractor come in and do some of these small things?" Because what you're doing essentially, if you're not going to have the city facilities to come out and do it, then you can hire people from the community to go out and cut the grass or go out and board up these buildings. You're empowering entrepreneurs. You're empowering them, and as well as you're making the community safe. So, what do you think about in terms of hiring private businesses to do some of the stuff that maybe the city won't do or is lacking? Or I don't know how that works, but what do you think about that?
A couple of things. If it is city property, the city should maintain it. That's why we pay taxes. Because, as I said, you won't go to the Central West End and see grass 5 feet tall unless it's an ornamental grass that's supposed to be 5 feet tall. So it's an issue. So if the city should maintain it, then I take it as a personal insult that you won't maintain it, because we pay our taxes as well. There's no reason why it should be getting done somewhere and not being done here. So if it's city ran, it's my responsibility as an alderperson, and really our responsibility as a community, no matter who the alderperson is, to activate the city to do their fair share for us, because they won't tolerate. The city would not tolerate and should not tolerate it if we don't pay our water bills, our trash bills, our taxes. Then they need to be as committed to the situation as we are. We pay our taxes, then give us services rendered. I do know this, because the area has been neglected for so long. However much money is in the budget is not going to be enough to take care of all of our needs immediately. And I don't think that it's going to happen immediately, but we have to have a person in office that can generate movement. We are not outnumbered. We're just out-organized. And that is the responsibility of leadership. And I see that void as in the alderperson. So we have to get somebody who understands, who is willing to learn what they don't understand, and somebody who feet move and hands, sleeves roll up and hands get busy. Not somebody who's just trying to get a title, because there's plenty of work to be done, more than one person can do. So we have to be able to get going. As far as generating those additional funds, I'm a proponent of a SID, and what a SID is it's a community improvement district. So the second ward, boundary-wise, the residential area is densely residential. So Baden, North Pointe, Tainer Rock, the little part of College Hill that we have, North River Park, all of those are densely residential areas. But we also encompass Broadway to the river from the city limit at 270 all the way down almost to the San Musial Bridge, which encompasses a huge industrial district. There are Procter & Gamble's there, Dial's there, a number of trucking companies there, concrete, electrical companies, a huge resource. And what a SID does is it puts a sales tax on businesses in the area. So you draw an area, and you put a sales tax on the businesses. So every time Procter & Gamble sells something, the customer pays an additional sales tax, and a portion of that tax comes back to that area that has been drawn to improve it, bring development. We do not currently have any SIDs in North St. Louis. Probably the most popular SID that you would recognize would be the Central West End. So every time you go to the Central West End and you buy a drink or a meal or patronize any of those businesses, a portion of those, you pay a tax, and a portion of that comes back. That's why the Central West End looks like what it looks like. That's why they have additional security, cobblestone streets, fountains, lighting, the security, that's why it appears the way that it does. And that's something that we definitely need to get going, particularly in the Baden area. So that is a way also to generate the rebuilding of the Broadway area, because those are historic buildings. We can't just come in and tear them down, and I don't necessarily think that we should. If they're strong and sturdy, we definitely can revitalize that area. We can use those funds to draw in retailers. To draw in one of my difficulties, just personally, and in those situations, before I go there, in those situations where there is private area, or even if we choose to, we can hire entrepreneurs to take care of those things. So we can hire entrepreneurs to come in and put up awnings on all of the buildings, or to cut the grass in certain areas. And while I do feel like if the building is vacant, we need to board it up and make it safe for the people in the area. My goal is to not have boarded up buildings, to eliminate that as much as possible. That's a short-term solution while we're working on a long-term plan to just bring development back. As I said, one of my frustrations is, even as I've been campaigning only the past few weeks, when I have people come out and support and volunteer, because we go out into the neighborhoods and drop information and talk to the voters and the residents, if I need to make copies, I have to drive 20 minutes to Florissant to make copies, because we don't have a copy place. I had a volunteer come in, and she brought her son in, and before we were getting ready to go out, and she said, "My son is hungry, and he doesn't eat donuts. Is there a place I could walk to buy him something to eat?" And I'm like, walk to? We don't. That's why I'm running, because we no longer have those luxuries, and it's really ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. So, it's all about getting educated, organized, and making it happen.
Yes, and with that, I wanted to go back to the board of that building issue. We were talking about making the owners and the city accountable for these eyesore situations. And from my experience and what I've seen, a lot of times it's not that the owner doesn't want to take responsibility, but it's the dollar amount to actually bring the building up to code and make it a livable or workable space. So that's why I'm interested in trying to find out what sort of grant programs are out there to actually help the person that wants to revitalize their building but just doesn't have those dollars available. So is there a grant research team or something like that in place, or that you could put in place to help the community with that resource?
I'm not sure if there's anything in place at this moment, but absolutely that's something that I would look into, because there are dollars out there to make those things happen. Again, that can be a part of the SID program.
Okay.
When we generate that fund, a portion of that can go to, because that's a revitalization. That's a neighborhood improvement effort. So those we can build those sort of grants in, and we absolutely need to, especially there are a lot of seniors who have taken very good care of their homes for years and years and years, and as they live longer and the neighborhood deteriorates, they struggle to get those things done. So or even younger people, as we draw young families in who they don't have necessarily as much expendable money just to throw on all of these situations, because these are older homes and older neighborhoods. But those are things that absolutely I would get involved with, because I know my own personal struggle. Just even this past summer, and it's an oak tree in my backyard. When I was a kid, we used to play hide and seek and run around him, my brothers and I. And he got so big, we named him. His name was Harold. And we had to cut Harold down. And the smallest bid we got to cut Harold down was $10,000.
Oh my God!
Nobody has it. Right, and that's how big he got. So what we did was we cut on him a little bit every year until we finally found a Black-owned entrepreneur, a firefighter who has a tree trimming service, Limbs Are Us, and he gave us a phenomenal deal. And he did an awesome job. And he came in and he took care of it. But I understand that it's the everyday working person that still needs help. And that's what public. I know you run for office and we say elected officials or politicians, but we're public servants. We should be serving the public, and based off of the needs of the people you represent, you have to be able to find the resources that are necessary. And so, absolutely, that's something that I am all about. I do know that Home Depot is also very generous to help and assist with programs like that. So I will be looking into all resources and options. And again, that's a part of that as we redevelop areas in our neighborhoods, such as Broadway, and we draw in services and resources, and then they'll become accountable to those businesses and nonprofits who live and work in our community, make money and thrive there, are responsible for it just as we are. And it's just about bringing us all together and all in and seeing what we can do as a unit to make sure that we as a community thrive.
Right. That's the responsibility that we have to carry as a community. We can't just continue to let it go down the hill. Now, what I wanted to talk to you about, too, is there's a meeting tonight, and this is, from my understanding, it's probably not anything to do with your ward, but it's a meeting tonight. It's called Project Connect. It's at Gateway Middle School, and it's at 1200 North Jefferson Avenue, of course, in St. Louis, 63106. It's tonight at 5:30. We plan on attending that meeting just to get some ideas of what other communities are doing to better their neighborhood.
Okay. Project Connect. You said it's at Gateway Elementary?
Yes, Gateway Middle School, 1200 North Jefferson Avenue, 5:30 tonight.
I am not able to attend that tonight on short notice, but I will reach out to that Project Connect.
Well, you don't have to go as your members of the ward that you have an interest in. That's what we do as Black-owned business. We're the boots on the ground. So we're going to be there, and we have no problem reporting back to you. Because right, because that's what we're looking to do, is build that type of communication.
Yeah, absolutely. I have every intention on winning this race. I wouldn't run if I didn't think that I could. But there's a lot that can be done, even for us as community members, even if I didn't. And so I definitely see the need to have a viable candidate in the position of alderman, but even beyond that, there is a lot that we can do. And so win, lose, or draw, I am not abandoning my community. There are things that can be done and will get done, and I have no problem being held accountable or holding my elected officials accountable to the needs of the community. So I look forward to hearing about what you find out with Project Connect and working with you all in the future, just building up our ward as a whole. So I appreciate you.
No problem. We definitely appreciate the fact that you decided to choose to come on and speak with us today. And quickly before we go, just go ahead and let your constituents know what it is that you plan to do differently than the previous administration has done.
Probably the biggest thing that I plan to do would be transparency and communication. It's no way you can serve the people that you're not in contact with. And that's a strain that I have felt. I'm sure every single person hasn't felt it, but I definitely intend to be very hands-on and very available and accessible to the community. I want to know what the concerns are, what everybody's issues are, and really be able to organize our community in a manner, just as you just said, Sisi. Everybody's not going to make every meeting every single time, but we can organize ourselves in such a way where everybody doesn't have to do everything, where we work as a team member. So we making sure that the catcher is catching and that the pitcher is pitching, and that the team, the community as a whole moves forward. So I look forward to speaking with the residents and getting going. Thank you all for having me on.
No problem. Robert, do you have
Yes, definitely look forward to meeting with you, sister. And we pray that your run for this position turns into a victory for you, for sure. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing to know that you are a lifelong resident of the community as well. I think that's going to impress people, because you feel the pain that most of the people in the community feel. So, yeah, that's a good thing. So, look forward to meeting with you, sister. We'll definitely be back in touch with you, let you know what's going on with this meeting this evening. And, we got you. We can definitely help you out in the future.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate you. I'm honored to be a guest, and you all have a great day. I'll be in touch.
You too. Thank you so much, and have a blessed rest of the week, okay?
You too. Thank you.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. I would like to invite you to join Every.Black, the premier digital marketplace and directory for Black businesses and entrepreneurs. Membership benefits include representation on 12 websites, 12 Facebook pages, and 12 Twitter accounts. Your company will also be featured in the monthly e-letter. Sign up today by typing in Every.Black. Use the discount promotional code SISI. For more information, call 253-343-7284. When it comes to promoting your business, remember Every.Black.
You are tuned in to the Black Talk Radio Network. For podcasts and live program scheduling, visit us on the web at blacktalkradionetwork.com.